program PHK Prioritas mengadakan sesi paper atau coaching klinik ya untuk paper yang sudah Anda buat. Nah, ini ada informasi dari Mbak Maisari Utami bahwa actually semua mahasiswa itu diwajibkan untuk membuat draft gitu ya. Tetapi kemudian yang mengumpulkan itu ada 6. Yang sudah mengumpulkan paper itu ada 6, yaitu Mbak Siti Jumroh, Mbak Rina, Mas Putut, Mbak Sri Umaya, Mbak Febi, dan Mbak Rahmi. Dari 6 paper itu, ternyata hanya ada 2 paper yang sudah komplit dan siap disubmit, sehingga hari ini kita akan mendengarkan masukan dari Prof. Rui ya, terkait dengan draft yang sudah disiapkan, sehingga tidak hanya kepada para mahasiswa yang sudah mengumpulkan draft, tapi saya yakin tentunya nanti akan bermanfaat untuk para mahasiswa yang barangkali saat ini itu sudah menyiapkan dan mungkin buntu ya di sana-sini itu seperti apa. Oke, mungkin kalau ada sambil menunggu Pak Rui ya, mungkin kalau ada pertanyaan atau unek-unek seputar kesulitannya ada di mana gitu, mungkin para mahasiswa bisa menyampaikan kesulitannya itu ada di mana. Oh, saya tuh sebenarnya sudah siap nulis Bu, tapi saya tidak punya data. Nah, itu lain cerita ya, tapi sebenarnya ya S2 itu sebenarnya lebih banyak kesempatan lah daripada S1. Sebenarnya Anda itu bisa juga menulis itu latihan. Ya, jadi kalau targetnya itu publikasi internasional yang terindeks Scopus, barangkali untuk awalan ya agak susah. Sebenarnya kalian tuh bisa berlatih ya. Tidak berbasis data tidak apa-apa. Maksudnya belum punya data di lab yang lengkap gitu, itu tidak masalah. Dari beberapa perkuliahan kan sebenarnya ada yang penugasan ya. Jadi kayak mata kuliah adsorpsi itu kan ada penugasan masing-masing mahasiswa ataupun kelompok itu kan diberikan tugas untuk membuat book chapter, dan ini sudah 3 buku ya yang diterbitkan dari hasil pembelajaran mahasiswa S2. Nah, sebenarnya itu juga latihan. Jadi kalau publikasi untuk syarat lulus itu tidak harus dari dari lab. Artinya apa? Sebenarnya kan Anda sudah berlatih nulis paper review. Jadi bisa juga Anda dari sekarang itu nulis paper review. Nah, paper review itu kapan ditulisnya? Justru paper review itu ditulisnya kan sekarang ini gitu. Jadi sebelum Anda masuk lab, sebelum Anda fix mengerjakan sesuatu di lab itu kan sebenarnya Anda berproses ya. Kalau teorinya ya harusnya kan Anda berproses. Berprosesnya itu seperti apa? Berprosesnya membaca literatur, membaca referensi, misal mau menentukan temperatur kalsinasi. Ada bedanya antara mahasiswa S1 dengan mahasiswa S2. Mahasiswa apalagi dengan mahasiswa D3 ya. Kalau mahasiswa S1 itu kalau untuk menentukan temperatur ataukah prosedur itu mungkin tanya sama dosennya. Bu, ini temperaturnya berapa? Waktunya berapa lama gitu ya. Itu mungkin akan dijawab oleh dosen pembimbingnya. Tetapi kalau mahasiswa S2 mestinya bayangan kita atau desain dari pembelajaran kita itu mahasiswa S2 itu mempelajari dulu dari sekian banyak literatur. Tuh, jadi dari literatur itu nanti Anda akan menentukan, oh ternyata langkah-langkah untuk menentukan temperatur ini, temperatur kalsinasi itu seperti ini, gitu ya. Terus kemudian kira-kira optimum waktunya berapa, temperaturnya berapa. Nah, itu yang Anda cari dari proses. Bukan kemudian bertanya, ini harusnya bukan seperti itu. Karena memang itu bukan sasaran dari program S2. Jadi program S2 itu Anda harusnya belajar secara mandiri ya. Nah, selama membaca itu tentu Anda kan nggak cuma membaca ya, tapi menganalisis dari beberapa bahan bacaan. Nah, dari analisis itulah yang kemudian kita tulis. Nah, itulah yang sebenarnya yang kita harapkan sebagai proses review. Literatur review itu proses. Jadi bukan sekedar saya punya paper review terus diterjemahkan. Itu bukan paper review. Paper review itu proses Anda membaca, menelaah dari beberapa paper tentang berbagai kasus ya. Misalnya untuk penelitian, apakah hanya untuk material? Ya tentu enggak ya. Jadi misalnya untuk melakukan sintesis organik, itu pasti secara teknis ada variabel-variabel yang kita perlu bertanya, teorinya seperti apa, waktunya seperti apa, temperaturnya seperti apa, itu sebenarnya semuanya ada di literatur. Nah, itulah yang dimaksud dengan proses literatur review. Nah, hasil dari telaah review itu sebenarnya bisa Anda tulis di dalam paper review. Okay, I think together with us, Prof. Rui Andong has been joined with us. Very good morning.
Yeah, morning.
Yeah. I just speak to our students to initiate this meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, and also together with us, Dr. Alwar and some other young lecturers in our department who initiate this meting. How are you, Prof? I hope you are very well.
Quite good. Thank you. Yeah.
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 So you are in office right now?
Now, at home, because now, Taiwanese government requests the not to move frequently, so impossible at home. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So it is something like lockdown, something like that. No.
It's not the lockdowns, but they tries to minimize the travels, because now the case in Taiwan every day is around 250 to 280. So the government thinks the government thinks that the number is a little bit high. Also, it is quite low compared to some country, but they still quite numerous. So tries to control the COVID-19 situation. So hopes that they can try this to reduce the numbers to less than 100. Yeah. So they hope that we don't move in these two weeks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Similarly, the issues about the new strain of COVID-19 also is a very terrible issues, right? So that's why, yeah. As well as in Indonesia, the number is increasing, even though the promotion to stay at home, to lockdown is quite high, but it is very difficult to control smoothly, right? Okay, can we start, Prof?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah. I will open and say hello to the participants in this room. Okay, I will open. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you are in very well condition. Together with us is Dr. Alwar, Dr. Maisari, Mbak Ika, and also the administrative staffs for this agenda, Mas Hakim and Mas Aris. And also we have some students here, the students of Master of Chemistry Study Program, who is taken the international publication class and also the other class, I think. So actually the Master Program of Chemistry has a mission to be a center of chemistry development, as well as the center for chemistry research, but we understand that it is not possible to be the center and center of excellence of chemistry as a single fighter. So we need collaboration. And for that also we have to be the excellence center in research. And talking about research, it is cannot be separated with the collaboration, especially to collaborate with other advanced and other sophisticated laboratory and universities, and it is cannot also be separated from the international publication. And it is very happy, and it is very lucky for us because we have visiting professor, Prof. Rui Andong from National Tsinghua University, who I think during last 2 years, he is very, very supportive to us, especially to improve the capability for staffs as well as for students to write, especially for international publication. So actually within this program, we have accelerated the students, especially master students, to write internationally, because one of the requirements for a master student is they have to publish their paper in the international journal, especially the Scopus Indexed journal. So that's why we initiate every day to activate them in the laboratory activities as well as writing. And by this program, actually, we collected about 6 papers. Yeah, I heard from Miss Maisari that we got about 6 papers, but unfortunately, only 2 papers, which are a little bit fit with the final stage of the paper preparation. So that's why in this meeting we need the suggestion from Prof. Rui, how to improve the quality of papers, what is the correction required for them, and also how to initiate some other papers draft from our students as well as from our staffs, if possible. So in the next meeting, we hope that we will have more papers to be reviewed and to be fixed for further process of the publishing. So, hi, all students, how are you? Hope you are with us. So it is not only you just open this Zoom and you left your devices, okay? Okay, so Prof. Rui, time is yours, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Chair Fatima, and also good morning, everyone. Today, I would like us to tell you some stories about the coaching lessons. Yeah. Originally, I thought that I will give one lecture that talk about how to prepare the contents of the manuscript. But Dr. Utami mentioned that maybe I need to do the paper revision first. So I think that will be the good way for me to do, because from the real case and the names, you guys will know how to do that. Okay, yeah. So, so let's try to see. So, can you see my slide?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. Like Chair Fatima mentioned, actually, I received around 6 manuscripts, but unfortunately, it's only 2 are relatively complete. So that's I just quite briefly just to read the names, that's to tell you how to improve the paper quality. So also maybe would like us to let you know how to what is the main thoughts of the writing. So maybe I need to have the Q&A with our two authors. One is the Remy Atiati. Is he or she is online?
I saw. Mbak Rahmi,
okay.
Are you with us? Yes.
Okay, good. So I will start from this paper first because it's quite interesting and more complete. So let me introduce you the schemes for publication. So that's again actually, so we have mentioned this last time. We have the research topic and names tries to define the criteria of problem, and name tries to find the rationale. This part actually is very important because we need to know what kind of the problem of what kinds of the phenomena we want to solve. And then we use this to design the experimental section and then get some result. When we have the results and names, we can try to think about how to write the paper. And when we want to write the paper, you need to read the paper and then tries to find how to publish in which journal, number T writing, and some others. So that's the now. So we are talking about the writing here, names, what is the contribution. So the first paper is here. The topics here. Synthesis of the magnetic iron oxide, copper oxide, activated carbons, nanocomposite for removal of phosphate, nitrate, nitrite, and fluoride in water. The topic seems quite long. I'm sorry. Also quite interesting. Yeah. Here's the title needs to be fancy. So from here, we can see the main topics and the main ideas of your research. So you can try to emphasize. For example, you would like us to focus because magnetite the iron oxide. Fe3O4 actually is one. Sorry, the name is magnetite. So that it means that you duplicate. And the duplicate, it means that this one is the reductant. So you need to change to magnetic, and then people will know your nanocomposite has the magnetic. But when you write the magnetic, what is the reader expects? They will expect that your nanocomposite, your material can be recycled. So in your manuscript, you need to prove your material can be recycled. That is the first idea when people read your title. So you need to keep in mind, okay, especially for Rami, you need to keep inside. If you want to use this word name, people would like us to see the recycled data, and it means that's the recyclability. Second is that's the phosphate, nitrate, nitrite, and fluoride. It means that all are ions. So you don't need to write down all. And there's the different species. Okay, the different species, I mean, is that's some are cation, some are anions, some are organics. So that you just say that it's an ions. And names, if you would like to emphasize, it's all inorganic. So you can write the inorganic and ion. So people here will try to get 2 points from your title and names that they will try to expect to see some different kinds of the result inside. One is that your material can be recycled. Okay. Second is that you want to remove inorganic and ions. So people may have the interest because they would like us to see what kinds of an ion you would like us to remove. So they have interest in that. So that's that they will read your abstract. So when they read the abstract and names, you will write is okay, something like here. So abstract actually is that will contain several information. One is the motivation. So that's the sentence in red is the motivation you use. Pollutants in the environment, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so many. So that is the case. You would like to try to use it. Second is that's the how to do it. Names that's the words in blue. Okay, the iron and copper for successful synthesis to form a crystalline structures of the blah blah blah. Okay, and this one is your objectives and how to do that. Names that's the words in purple is the results. So as you can see, that's here to the equilibrium of the absorption for the lemurs and fluidish. Actually, this one will be the big problems because only one will be much better. Names, the second is that's the absorption kinetics also. So from here, what kind of the information you get? It seems that you just tells the truth. You have done the experiment. And what is the contribution you get? Contribution, I emphasize is contribution. It seems that you cannot get any kinds of the good contribution inside, especially you did not tell people how good of your research. Actually, your research is quite good. So that's you need to change it. So that's I spent a little bit a long time to change it. But this is only for example. I cannot change. I cannot do this kind for all the papers. Okay, yeah. So that's here. You will see that's here is the track. Okay, pollutants in the environment. Okay, yeah. So that I change it pollution because it's more broad. Pollution in the environment, a name change is not only from metal, but also from an ion contamination, like a blah, blah, okay? A names you need to add here, sorry. So here you can see that in this study, we use the different kinds of activated carbon. That is the case in your research. You need to emphasize a name when we just use going back to here. So that's when we just use when we use the activated carbon, people will believe that you just use the commercial activated carbon. So that's they do not have any expectation that you can create the quite good data. Because the people knows the activated carbons for inorganic and ion has very quite poor absorption efficiency. But when they read the abstract, they find that you activate carbon or you can change to biochar. That will be more attractive. So that's here. If you change to biochar, okay. Name here is the biochar nano composite. Your paper will be more attractive. But since I'm not your advisor, so that's I don't want to change it. You can discuss with Owa, Professor Owa, to see whether you would like us to change to biochar or no. Okay, yeah. But when you change to another terminology, you need to prove it is. Okay, yeah. So that's when we talk about the activated carbon, a name you can see that you use the palm oil shell waste. Names that they will be the good way for people to know that you do not use the traditional activated carbon, so that you use the palm oil shell waste. Okay, so that's maybe they have interest. Names that you use this one as the supposed to deposit your metal oxide as an adsorbent. Names that's to remove an ion. So that's how good of your data. So that's you get that your activated carbons or your nano composite is the surface area is 263 square meter per gram. This value actually is not high enough compared to traditional activated carbon, but should be okay and quite good for biochar. So you need to emphasize that, okay? Names that have the mesoporous nature. So your pole contains the mesoporous because they have the hysteresis. And then you put the iron oxide copper. So all this one actually is the case. You talk about the motivation. You talk about what kind of work you done. Names you try to do the experiment and get the result. So that's the here you can see that's the you try to absorb the phosphate, nitrates, nitrite, and fluorides and names. You got the quite a good results, and then the ratio and the order is the phosphates the absorption efficiency phosphates the larger name nitrate, larger name nitrite, and I'm sorry, it's the should be larger name fluorides and names the larger names the nitrites. Okay, so this is that's my force. After 6 minutes of absorption, tell people that that's the duration you use. Tell people that the optimize the pH you use. So that's that you can tell names what is the optimized value. A names that you try to use that's the case a name find that's the fluidish. Isotherm is much better naming. A names you also do the kinetics and the names that's the pseudo second orders will be the more valuable ones. So this is your result. You need to emphasize. Okay, yeah. A names finally you need to write a sentence that to say that's what is the contribution and the possible application. So that's the here you will see that's the results of a tense clearly indicates that the feasibility of using agricultural waste to prepare effective. I suggest to use the biochar, but here I still use the AC, okay, as the support for metal oxides to remove an ion. And names can open a gateway to develop platforms to develop the different kinds of metal oxide agricultural waste that derives biochar to remove different kinds of pollutant. So that's from this abstract, you will see that will more informative. So this one is the after revision. So that's you can see that it contains some good data, especially from your results. So and also the operational condition. Okay, you try to prepare. The most important the result is here. You try to use the hydrothermal methods to prepare your nanocomposite. Even though the biochar has been prepared by pyrolysis, but you still can write it, but do not write it too long. And you also mentioned quite a good results, okay, so that people will know that you do 4 different kinds of anion, and the removal efficiency is here. Sorry, that's the I mentioned again that should be phosphate, larger name nitrate, larger name fluorides, and larger name nitrite. Okay, yeah. And names that's the optimized condition is here. 6 minutes of the absorption, pH is 7. And names you do the isotherm and kinetics, and there's possible application. So people, when they read, they will have interest to read more. Names the keywords is also very. I think I find a keyword of. Sorry, I did not put a keyword here. Keywords distributed in your manuscripts. Okay, yeah. So names we need to start to write okay. So maybe. I can try to show you okay, yeah. Sorry, so that's the now. It seems that that's not possible to share the Word file here. So that's the now. Can you see the slide again? No?
No.
Okay, yeah, so I will just do it again. Sorry for that. Yeah. Okay, so now you can see, right?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, yeah. So, sorry, that's at first I hope that's maybe I can share the original writings of this manuscripts to you, so that you will know all the ideas. Okay. Names. Would like us to ask Rami. Rami, are you here?
Yes.
Okay. Can you briefly just tell all the audience what is the original thoughts that you would like us to do this research, so that they will know the whole story of your manuscript. Can you explain briefly?
Prosedurnya gimana, Mbak? Prosedurnya?
Bahasa Indonesia.
Yes.
Ya, bahasa Inggris. Yeah, how to prepare the material, right?
How to initiate this research, and how to prepare, and the main thoughts to write this manuscript. She can speak bahasa, that will be okay. And when all the audience know names, that will relatively easy for me to explain why I need to change. Okay, yeah.
Oke.
Yeah.
Prosedurnya gimana, Mbak? Prosedur atau metode penelitiannya itu seperti apa? Kalau nggak bisa bahasa Inggris, nggak apa-apa, bahasa Indonesia nanti saya terjemahkan.
Oh ya, garis besarnya ya, Prof. Nggak apa-apa atau harus? Yang pertama itu pembuatan karbon aktifnya dulu dengan penambahan ZNCl.
Penambahan apa? ZNCl.
Ya, selanjutnya itu sintesis Fe3O4-nya dulu. Baru kemudian sintesis CuO-nya, yang itu baru pencampuran antara karbon aktif dengan Fe3O4 sama CuO, Prof.
Karbon aktifnya dari mana?
Dari cangkang kelapa sawit.
Terus?
Setelah pencampuran itu jadi 2 tahap, Prof. Jadi Fe3O4 sama CuO itu dicampurkan ke karbon aktif. Setelah proses sintesis itu baru digunakan untuk adsorpsi, Prof.
So the method is separated into 2 parts. The first part is the synthesis of activated carbon from shell, from palm cell, and then the first step, the first part is the synthesis of magnetite, iron oxide, and also copper oxide. So after those synthesized, those components were mixed together and utilized for the adsorption.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So.
Yeah.
Can I add some more information?
Yeah. Sure.
She is my student. She worked at the environmental environmental department. I forget the name. And she worked with some of the pollutant like phosphate, nitrate, and nitrate fluoride. She worked every day to analyze that compound. And that's why I asked her to analyze the pollutant using the adiabatic carbon. The adiabatic carbon has been made from the oil palm cell waste using the zinc chloride. That's right, Bu Rahmi ya, ZNCl 2 ya?
Iya, Pak.
Using the zinc chloride. For the first step, he made the adiabatic carbon. And then the second step, she prepared the ferric oxide by mixture of the Fa2 and Fa3, FaCl3 and then FaCl2, combined by the co-precipitation, and then we got the Fa3O4. ferric oxide. And then the third step, she made copper oxide using the precipitation, and then Fa3O4 combined with the CuO, copper oxide, and activated carbon. I forgot the ratio, 1:1 ratio 1, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then she do the what do you call that, endothermal at the 300 degrees. Ya, betul ya? 300 derajat ya, Mbak? 300 derajat ya endothermalnya.
Iya,
Okay.
Pak.
She did the hydrothermal in the gravity furnace to obtain the FeCl3 CuO activated carbon. And then it's very good because the activated carbon has low BET. I think it's a good idea to change with the biocard. I think that's why like that, Buis.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, thank you, Professor Owa. So that's the so all the audience that you know that there's the methods, the names, why they want to write this manuscript. So from the descriptions of Mr. Rami and Professor Owa, you guys will know that they try to put at least the three components together: iron oxide, copper oxide, activated carbon from the palm oil shell. So if we want to write a paper, a names, we need to find which one is the most important and what is the major contribution. So for introduction, we need to write some literature reviews and the motivation. If possible, when we finish this, the PPT, maybe I can try to see whether I can share there's manuscripts to you or not. Professor Owa, do you agree that I can share your manuscripts online?
Yes, okay.
Okay, sure. So that's we talk about the original versions, names that use the slides to tell you what is the thoughts that I try to revise. Okay, so that's from the case. You guys know that they will prepare the nano composites for the removal of an ion. So here is the case, the original version of his objectives here. For this purpose, synthesis is not synthetic. Okay, synthesis of the iron oxide coppers, whereas this one is the most important one. A name that they do the characterization, but unfortunately, this part characterization was carried out with FTIR, something like that. All this actually needs to move to experimental section because that's the how to do the experiment. So here, people only knows that you only have the one sentence to tell you that's the main objective, but they have no ideas what kinds of the parameter you use, what kinds of the work you have done. So this version actually needs to change. So objective needs clear and includes all the works you have done. So I just very briefly to change to this part. For this purpose, the palm oil shell waste that derives AC or biochar was prepared by pyrolysis at 600 degrees C for 3 hours. So very clear to tell your readers that the activated carbon actually is from the palm oil shell waste, not from the traditional one. So that will be very clear. Names the users that suppose the deposits, okay, the iron oxide and copper, okay. Names you can fabricate this nanocomposite by hydrothermal. Temperature is 453 hours. So that will be very, very clear for readers that's how to prepare your narrow composite. A name, you try to do some surface identification, so that you identify the morphology and microstructures, including crystallinity, functional groups. I'm sorry, this one should be S. Surface area, so that they use the different kinds of the technology, SEM, SRT, FTIR. You don't write any company here, because that should be in experimental section. So that you just write the methods you use, okay? Names, this one is the results. Sorry, this one is the work you will do. Okay, you use this narrow composites as the adsorbents to remove an ion, including this 4 anion. Names, you do what kinds of the work under different environmental conditions, including pH value, context times, different initial concentration. And you also do the adsorption isotherm and adsorption kinetics of an ion, S, by this one. So from these objectives, people will know how to prepare your activated carbon, and how to prepare your narrow composite, what kind of the surface characterizations you have done, and what kind of the operational environmental conditions that you use to optimize the adsorption behavior, and what kinds of the kinetics and isotherm you use. So people will have the brief image, what kind of work you use, okay, you have done in these manuscripts. So that is the case. So if they still have interest in reading names, then they will try to read the result and discussion. So that's here I just skips the experimental section, because the part is quite simple and you just fast forward to write. Okay, so the preparation actually is very important. Here is the figures. Okay, left hand side is the figures the manuscripts prepares. The right hand side is the case I suggest. Since I cannot get the data, so that's I just use the figures, similar figures in my lab. So this two figure is not equivalent. Okay, just to give you the ideas how to do it. So the figure quality actually needs to be improved. The case is here. So that's you will see that the lines is too thin. You have quite a bit figures, but only two very tiny line here. So it seems that the figures seems so simple. Okay, yeah. So that is the case, the first case. Second is that's the words, the XSS and the YSS, the illustration is not big enough, so very hard to see what inside. Second is that third one is that the number here is also quite small. If you would like to see the tip, I mean that's here, the tip here should be inside, not outside. Okay, so if you want to change to some others, the BT, so that's you will see here. So that they will do that. So that's you would like to raise a name Bruce, that will be perfect. Okay, but you need to enlarge this part. So that's the people will try to read your figures in a second. So they don't need to read very carefully. So that's they have the image or your value is good. The first image is very important for figures. So figure quality should be improved here. So that's when we use the relative pressure, so that we can see and the volume absorbs here. So people will read the value here. So try to change it. Since you are talking about the biochar, and here you mentioned in your manuscript, like from 0, actually the hysteresis case cannot be from 0. So from this part, they increase dramatically from 0 to 0.2. It means that still have the high portion of the micropole. And you have the historically is the case. It means that they have the mesopole. And names from the 0.9 to 0.995 in this region, they still have the shapes, something like that. Means that they maybe have the very small macropole. But from this VT, from this VT curves, the readers and the editors of the review will expect that you can show the pole size distribution here, because you contains the micropole, contains the mesopole. Why it is so important? Because the surface areas is quite high. So people would like us to know whether they contains the micropole or mesopole. For those micropole and mesopole, maybe they are very important for absorption. So people would like us to expect to see such kind of case. So that is the case for the first figure. Second figure is here. You talk about the XRD, that will be perfect. That will be perfect. But we don't like to have the space here. Okay, so that's when we want to write when we want to prepare, you need to prepare your figure from 10 degree to 90 degree. Okay, so that's from 10 to 90. Difference that this is not the same case, but I mentioned the previous, I cannot guess the original data, so that I cannot just to reprint. In addition, reprint of the figures is your duty, you need to do. So that's the tries to do it. Name tries to you will see that's the number here is relatively big, so that's we can see. Okay, so theta is here also. Okay, but you can try to enlarge it. Okay, names the tries just from 10 to 90. Names your y-axis is intensity AU. What is the AU? Rami? What is the AU? What is the meaning of AU?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah.
Apa artinya
AU means arbitrary unit. When you write the arbitrary unit, that means that that can be from 0 to 1 or 0 to 100 or the -10 to -5 or even 0 to 10,000. So we can see that this one is the AU. If we talk about AU, means that that's this one, we don't need the scale bar here. So that's the you need to get rid of your scale bar, similar to here. So this should be very clear. Should be very clear. So that is the case when we prepare. So the preparations of the figures needs to be very, very, very careful, and everyone needs to be perfect. So that's the reviewers will satisfy, and then your paper can be accepted. So that is the case, including the fonts and the others. Okay. The next one is the SEM. Actually, your SEM contains a lot of information. Okay, but I suggest to try to be prepared. For example, this one is the case when you prepare your SEM. Okay, so actually when you enlarge, you will see that the figure is quite vague, right? That's not so clear. Okay, so that is the first. Second is that we don't need to use this part. So just remove this break part, okay, and add your scale bar inside. So that's I just added from your another figure. I think that's the scale bar is something like here. Names you will see that it seems quite vague. And when it is not so clear, names that the reviewers will challenge, it is not so clear. But it seems that all these parts, the background should be biochar. That will be okay. But people would like us to know where is your iron oxide, where is your copper oxide. So that you need to tell people, oh, this one should be iron oxide, this one should be copper oxide. even though you have the mapping, but here you still can try to see. So image is bad, so we cannot see very clearly about your case. So if possible, you can try this to do the SEM again and try to do the quite good mapping. And if possible, use the circle, different color, to emphasize the place of iron oxide and copper oxide. So people will know that, oh, this one is the activated carbons or the biochar. Where is that? And names that you use the EDF. Left-hand side here is your original one. Okay, is the original one. We know that, but how come you can have the silicon? How come you have the nitrogen? How comes you can have the sodium chloride? If you want to plot, you need to explain a lot of things. Or you just try to do it as, okay, I only have the iron, copper, oxygen, carbon. This one is the 4 element you have. Okay, so if you would like us to put these figures, a name, you need to know what is the main source of your chloride, what is the main source of the sodium, and what is the source of silicon and nitrogen. We can explain. When you put your figures in your left-hand side, names is the completer is 100%, that will be okay. And your silicon and nitrogen is from the original palm oil shell, right? Okay. Sodium and chloride maybe also maybe from the preparation procedure. But it's the race that's the concern. Why the sodium and chloride is so high? Does it mean that there's original case contains high percentage of sodium chloride? It seems not, because they do not have the so high value. They only have the silicon and nitrogen. These two originally from your agricultural waste. So you can explain. If you ask that the sodium and chloride contains the so high percentage, it means that the washing procedures for your preparation is not complete. It's not complete. So it is the case. The washing procedure is not complete. So it will cause some problem. It will cause some problem when you want to explain your results, because when you put them in such kind of high concentration, the ionic concentrations will change in solution. So that will cause some difficulty in explanation. Yeah. So that is the case. So when you put any kinds of the data in your thesis or in your papers, needs us to be very careful and needs us to know why the value is high, why the value is low. So these two, okay, silicon and nitrogen from the original activated carbon, these two needs to explain, and the others will be okay. Sulfur definitely is also from the palm oil shell. Okay, so that is the case here. Okay, so you need the two. Okay, figure qualities here. Okay. So you just use the software to change the name, tries to have their trend. Okay, yeah, so that will be okay. That will be okay. But sometimes we'll use something like here. Same case, you can try to improve the quality. So this one is the original case you have. This one is the product because you just process in Excel. So that I can retrieve the value here. So that's I replot here. That will be fine. Okay. So from here we can see that's the phosphate, higher names the nitrate, higher name fluoride, higher names the nitrite. That is the case I mentioned. So in your thesis or in your manuscript, you need to explain why phosphate is the highest one, why the nitrite will be lowest one. So you need to explain, and why pH 7 is the best. This is the three major points you need to discuss. Okay, so it's not just to say that they are removable efficiency. Okay, yeah. So that is the case. And the other things that you can improve is here. This one is the isotherm and their kinetic. So theoretically, when you use the namium, so when you change it into the form, theoretically they should have the linearity here. So that's the do not use the curve. Tries to change it into the linear relationship and puts the equation here. Put the equation. So that will be make your figures and your quality is high. So no need to change it into the curves, the trend. Okay. If you find that there should be the linear relationship and names, you always need to do that. You always need to do that. Okay, yeah, so that is the case. So from these papers, the summary is here. Manuscript quality actually is quite good. Names, I believe that this can publish at least in Q2 journal, okay. But you need to emphasize in your manuscript, needs to emphasize why use magnetite means that's the Fe3O4 and copper oxide as the inorganics to absorb your ion, and compare your results with the reference. This one is most difficult because this one we talk about is the discussion. Your manuscripts we'll see later. Names that's only talk about the results. Paper is not the experimental report. Experimental report, it only tells us what kind of the data you get. That means that that's the result you get. But for paper, you need to prepare the manuscript. Names have the discussion why you get such kinds of the results. Whether this result is correct. What is their excellence compared to the other papers? So it is very important. Names, from my personal point of view, I think that that's agricultural waste that derives the biochar actually is quite interesting nowadays. A lot of people focus on that. Names, you can try to emphasize this novelty. Names on the combination of the metal oxide. Okay. But if you want to the nanocomposite, you need to identify the roles of each material in your nanocomposite. What is the function inside? Why you want to add iron oxide inside? Why you want to add copper oxide inside? Why you want to put names on activated carbon? Okay, yeah. Writings for me is relatively okay. We just need to polish several times and names that will be perfect. But the figure quality should be improved. Okay, this is the first paper. So I would like us so that I need to stop sharing and try to see whether I can then try to show the original manuscripts or not. Okay, so okay, I can stop the sharing first. Names tries to do it again. Okay, okay, I find it. Okay, so can you see now?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, Prof.
Okay. Okay, so that's this one is the original. So that's I have the notes here. Okay, so that's the footnotes here. Okay, so you will see that's this is the topics in addition to the case I mentioned in PowerPoint. Here is the case. Sorry, that will be relatively small. I can try to enlarge it. Okay, try. Okay, so for the title, if you want to publish, do not use all the capitals. It is quite real. So only first the letters of the first words that needs to be capitalized. Okay, in the title. Some papers, some journal like ACS journal, they talk about the first letter should be capitalized for every word, but most journal only the first one will do. Actually, I have changes. Okay, yeah. So if I want to read that, you will see that case. Okay, so that's I have mentioned. Okay, keyword is here. So the keyword you use is the iron oxide, copper, AC. That will be fine. That's because that is more important. Adsorbent. it means that they want to do the adsorption. That will be fine. An ion, sorry. This is the case for your original. Original, you have the adsorbent, a name you add the nitrate, nitrite, phosphate, and the fluoride. All these actually are the same. So for the keywords, you need us to then name them more diverse, so that the people can search when they want to use the Google or use some other keywords to search your paper. They will try to search the keywords and name your paper will show. So that's here. I change it into the case here. Anions means that you do the anion adsorption. Names the activated carbon you use is the agricultural waste that derived activated carbon. Names, if Professor Owa agree, you can change to biochar. Names, you still can add the other word. For example, you would like to talk about the anion in wastewater treatment. So you can ask in wastewater. So when people try to type in the keywords wastewater, and your paper will show and people will read. So that will be beneficial for you. So that is the case. So for the footnotes is here. We would like us to say should contain more diverse keywords so that the readers can easily search your paper. Okay. Introduction also have some case, but I just show some. I know that a lot of people like us to write blah, 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 and so on. It's quite okay when you talk to some other person, but paper is quite elegant. Elegant means that we need to use the organized the wording for name. So that's the and so on, etc, something that we don't use. We will use the such as or like or for example, that will be okay. And if you want to say the and so on, then like or including blah, and then down, do not write and so on. If you write the and so on, especially for the young generation, they always like to write and so on. Means that they have so many, but I don't know. Okay. For papers, you must know every word. That is the main thought. Okay. Yeah. So that's do not write any words you do not understand or you cannot explain. It is very important. Okay. Do not use and so on in paper. Use the more excellent words here. Okay. So that is the case. So here is the case and the names. A lot of people also would like us to use the many, numerous, a lot of here. You will see here. Okay, yeah, numerous. Okay, why you use the numerous technology means that they have already a lot of technology. If they have a lot of means that this field has matured, has a lot of technology. Maybe they are not so important. So tries to change it into, so that's the numerous, many means many. So it means that have already many researchers and names why people would like us to read yours. So I would suggest that tries to change to several will be much better name. Many and a lot of people try to use a lot of the research, many research. Okay, that will be fine. Same problem. So you will see that's the fourth, most of the journal. They don't write so many huge number, many or lot of and some others. No need just to write, only use the several or limited or few. Okay, that is the case. So that's when we say that's the few study have done that. People have interest in just only very limited. So that you would like us to do that. That will be okay. Okay, for the adoption. Actually, you know that the most people focus on cation, and you focus on anion. That is quite interesting. And only few person, only very limited the researchers use the biochar with metal oxides to absorb an ion. That is also the truth. And if it is the truth, why you want to write the numerous or many? So that's it will decrease the importance of your paper. So try this to avoid for that. Okay, this one is the objectives I mentioned. So that's here I have a lot of the case here. activated carbon, actually here's the case. So that's I mean that the objectives that needs to be written. So okay, not just the method you use, you also need to emphasize the novelty and the parameters you use. Okay, okay, so that is the case here. Second is okay, you need to use all the words here, okay, needs to use the simulator even though you want to use the abbreviation, okay. So here is the case. People always like us to say that is G is the capital, S is the capital, A is the capital, so that's they forms GSA. It's not the case for paper. For papers, you have the abbreviation is the capital, but all the words should be the small letter, and do not contain the brands or the case here. And the other would like us to emphasize is here. Okay, yeah. A lot of the people tries to write the methods, but unfortunately is that they do not have the concept. Okay, for example, sometimes people use the microscope PE. Sometimes he use the microscopy PY. Microscope is an instrument, so we can get the data from an instrument, so that we can get the image from a microscope. We're fine. We can get the image from microscopy. That will be fine, because the microscopy is the technique, is the technology. So you need to differentiate. That is the case. For example, here, when you use the analysis, means that it's a method. Okay, if you use the microscope, it's an instrument. So this one cannot be equal. So for your writing, if you are write to name, you need to write the gas sorption analyzer done. So analysis no need. So that you need to get rid of that word. Just use analyzer is an instrument. Microscope is an instrument. Okay, so that will be equal. And this one is the case. Analysis is a method, so they cannot be here. Okay, so microspectral photometer is an instrument, so that will be okay. So you need the names that equal identical, so that will be case. So I just write this the new objective here for your reference. Definitely you can change. Okay, yeah. So that is the case. Names also the case. I would like us to emphasize here. Milliliters names at ml. This milliliters, this L should be capital. Do not use the small letters here. Do not use the small letter. A lot of people tries to use the small letters. Okay, yeah. So that is the case. I mentioned here. Okay, yeah. So that is the case. Okay, figure quality is poor. I have the explain. Okay, so that is the case. When you write this into the 0.00, it means that it is impossible. So that's the people will challenge. So that's the you need to learn the BET curves and absorption from the beginning, from the 0.005 to 0.2. What is the meaning? From 0.2 to 0.75. What is the meaning? From 0.8 to 0.95. What is the meaning? So there was cost that there was to have the micropoles, the mesopole, and some others. So that's you will know that. Okay, yeah. So that is the case. And then you do the FTIR analysis. You do the SRT. For me, all this actually belongs to surface characterization. So there's no need to change into SRT, FTIR, some other. It's not the repose. Emphasize again, it's not the repose. It's a paper. Paper means that you can try to summarize, use the surface characterization 3.1. Done. Okay, yeah. So that is the case. Here is also the case. People don't use this way they will use this here. Okay, yeah, okay. I will try to emphasize. So that's I forgot to mention last. Oh, here. People always use the 3 to 5. I think I just remove 1, 2, or 3 to 5. Do not use the something like here 11, 12, 13. You can integrate 11 to 14 and names the tongue. Okay, yeah. So that is the case. So that will be the good ways for you to do. I have to mention that. Okay, yeah. So that is the case when you say you have the figure here. That's not so clear, but you have the mapping. Mapping will be good. But I suggest that's the tries to do because your surface contain a lot of chlorine and sodium. So if I'm the reviewers, I will ask why the chlorine sodium is so high. That is from the incompressed washing procedure. If the washing procedures is not so compressed, how comes you can control the QA/QC procedure of your absorption? So that will cause a big problem. Because the reviewers will try to challenge your results. But it is true. So that's the tries to do it. A name tries to see whether you can wash it in a very clear way. So that will be the good, will get the good results here. So that is the case. So I have mentioned how to process this one. Okay, yeah. So I think that is the case for your manuscripts. Okay, so that is the good case. Okay, sure. So here is the case I would like us to emphasize. Okay, yeah, because for the second papers, the preparation of the table is not good. So for any kinds of the table in figures in paper in journal papers, only 3 lines, 3 horizontal lines, 1, 2, and 3. You can have this one so that we just talk about 1 and 2 and 3 because in the middle is the lines to separate. So only have the 3. Okay, so that's do not use the table lines, the vertical and some other, no, only 3. Okay, so that's the quality here is actually kind of good. Okay, yeah, but the figure here that needs to change the dimensions here. Okay, so that is the case. The other things I would like us to emphasize is that your reference is relatively old. Theoretically, when we want to talk about the most recent researches, we would like us to cite the reference in recent 5 years. Okay, so the thumb rules here is that in recent 3 years should be around 30%. Okay, in recent 5 years should be larger name 50%. Now people would like us to increase the ratios to around 60 to 7%, that to 60 to 70% for recent 5 years. Okay, yeah. So means that names years is 5 to 10 years ago. So you can ask that to 2010. So this one will be okay, and this one will be okay. But this one is 2014. This one is the 204, and names that some others. So the reference is relatively old. Okay, yeah, tries to change it into the recent 3 to 5 years. Because if you want to talk about the most recent researches, means that you need to know the trend. Okay, in recent 3 to 5 years. So that is your papers. Okay, so okay. Any questions? Rami? Do you have any questions you want to ask about your manuscript?
Not yet, Prof, but very thank you for your review and reviews.
Okay, so that's I will try this to send it to Dr. Utami names. She will distribute the revised manuscripts to you. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that is the case for the first paper. Does anyone still have the questions or want to explain more? If there's the notes, the names, then maybe we can try to see the second ones. Okay. Okay, second paper is here. Can you hear? Sorry, can you see?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, yeah, so
Yes, yes.
that is good. My thought is that this paper is relatively simple because it seems there's a seminar or the conference paper. Okay, so the titles I like, so I do not change it a little bit. Enhanced performance means that the efficiency is quite good. Names that I would like us to emphasize the electrophoretic. So impossible tries to get rid of the process. And this process is the reductance, but I respect the authors. Yeah, okay. But I would like us to change it as the biocoagulants on the wastewater treatment of leachate. It's just too long. Okay, when we ask that the biocoagulant inside means that you are treated in wastewater or in water. So that's we would like us to see as the seeds seed as a biocoagulant for leachate treatment. Okay, no one will treat the leachate in water treatment system, always in wastewater. That is the common sense. So that's the no need to use the wastewater treatment of leachate. This one for me is the reductant. That means that we don't need this word. Okay, so if you want to change, you can say that's the enhanced performance of the erythropoietin by using the tamarind seeds as the biocoagulant for leachate treatment. So that will be more conscious, simple, and powerful. Okay, so that is the case. From the title, what do you think about what kinds of the contents that they should include? Okay, so that's can I also request that Luti to is always Luti, City to explain your original thoughts to do this one. Okay.
Siti Jumroh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so can you simply explain the original thoughts of this manuscript from the title to tell your classmates and the names just to see, to know the ideas. You also can speak Indonesian. Okay, that will be fine. That will be fine. Halo?
Iya, pakai bahasa Indonesia aja ya, Bu.
Ya, nggak apa-apa.
Menggunakan
fine.
Ya.
Halo?
Putus-putus, Bu.
Yeah, the sound is not good, I think.
Yeah, fine. Okay, so I just want the audience to know the original thoughts of her work. Names. What is the original thoughts when I saw the title and papers, so that we can compare what is the difference between the authors and the readers, so that we will know what is the difference. If we can try this to minimize the gap between the author and the readers names, then the paper will be relatively easy to be accepted. Okay. Sometimes all the author will think that they write quite a good papers that they explain very detailed, but from the readers of the editors of the reviewers' point of view, they have the different thoughts. That is the case. So that is the main ideas I would like us to request the city of the Ramis to explain a little bit. Okay, but that will be fine. From my personal point of view, when I read such kinds of the title, I would like us to expect this is like a conference papers names from the case. The main source of this paper is to use the biocoagulants. Okay, and use the biocoagulant is quite interesting. Okay, so I would expect that when we use the biocoagulants will be a little bit different from the coagulant. We know that the reaction mechanism of coagulants quite clear, but we have no ideas about the biocoagulant. So I would like us to expect you will get those operational parameter and reaction mechanisms inside. And names, if you would like us to express such kind of work, and names, I would expect us to see the functional groups of your biocoagulant, because they contains the different kinds of functional group, especially biocoagulant means that they're organics. So they have a lot of the functional group. So that's the four in your papers. I would like to expect to see the functional group, whether they have a lot of carboxylic groups, of carbonyl groups, and some other, whether they try to coagulate or to bind all the leachate, because the leachate is also an organic. So that's the organic with organic. They have some pi-pi interactions of the reactions between different kinds of organic. For example, carboxylic groups with amine groups that forms the amine groups, something like that. So that will be very interesting if you can provide such kinds of the functional groups inside. So we will know. And names the people, since you are doing the electrophoresis, so use the biocoagulant. So that's the real technology to remove the leachate. So very practically, so I would like us to see the optimal condition for electrophoration. So that is the main thoughts. When I see your title, I would expect to see these two major part inside. Okay, yeah, so that is the thought. So the case here actually will be very similar to the first paper. Writing will be a little bit lower than the first papers. Okay, so the writing here needs to be polished seriously. Figure quality also needs. Okay, so I just explained very clear and very directly. So sorry, that's because that will be relatively easy for me to tell students how to do that. Okay, yeah. So for abstract, your abstract actually contains a lot of information, very different from the papers of the Rami. Okay, Rami just to write the words she has done. You lost a lot of information. You got a lot of number get inside. That will be good, but not just only to describe your results. You need to tell a story. You did not tell a good story in your abstract, to my honest. For example, I would like us to see here. In your abstract, you said that the electrophoration process with the end of the biocoagulant. So that's you say that this biocoagulant, which is this one, and with those values from 0.2 to 0.25, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you fast forward, you are very, very fast forward to reflect what is the work you have done. Okay, but it is not the case for abstract. Abstract needs to tell a story. Tell a story means that you need to tell names that the most important and tries to attract their eyes to read your paper. Okay, so that is the function of abstract. So you need to write this in clear way, but still have some imaginations space to the people has the willingness to read. So that's I would suggest to change to here by electrophoration by the aid of the bioorganism, biocoagulant. That will be the same. Biocoagulants, where started derived from the same way, okay, with various concentration ranging from 0.05 to 0.4 gram per liter. So that I change it into here. So it's something like the story. I use the range here, not the specific one, range here. So to investigate the electroflotation efficiency of leachate. So that is the case, more clear to tell the story. So the abstract you need to use is tries to tell the story. Since this papers is the conference papers quite shows, so that's the all the case I don't need this to repeat again. So that's I will just changes the in the manuscripts names that send. But one of the case is here. So that's the here you need to know that's the you quite often to write this to plot such kinds of the figures. Okay, I know that a lot of students would like us to write because they would like us to emphasize the difference. But how comes you can try to write this to emphasize the difference here? If they have the trend, so the case is here, figure needs a trend. In this figure, it seems that the removal efficiency here, removal efficiency in the y-axis is not related to biocoagulant dose. Theoretically, that should be up or down, the name up, or the same. Okay, but here it means that sometimes they was the low, sometimes they were high. A name from these figures, can anyone tell me that's the which biocoagulants I need to select? It seems no, right? Because we need this value, this conductivity as low as possible. But how comes that they can low and up and low? Means that they have different kinds of reaction mechanism. But when you notice to their y-axis, there's only from 0.84 to 0.88. Means that they only have a spatial layer from 0.85. So they only have the 0.03 in difference. So impossible when last you write that you plot your figure here from 0 to 0.9. Okay, so that you will see that's almost the same, almost the same. Okay, but I'm not the author, I'm not the yours advisors. So that's the you need to know when we plot, it seems no obvious difference from the 0.025 to 0.02. Okay, yeah. So which story you want? You can consider about which story you want. You want the figures of the left-hand side, or you want to write a story on your right-hand side. And just think about what kinds of the conclusion you will get. So try to decide which one you like. So a lot of case will find in your manuscript. Okay, so try to think about. So that's actually it will be a little bit difficult for me to revise your paper because I have no ideas what kinds of the story you want to show. It is a little bit the difference from the manuscripts of Remy because her story for me is very clear and data is also quite sufficient to suppose her objective. So that's relatively easy to revise. But for you, it seems that that's you have some figures, something like that, so that I cannot conclude which story you want to tell. So that is the case for you. So that's the summaries of your manuscript is here. Similar to the first paper, tries to emphasize your niche in electroflotation. Biocoagulation is the key words here. So you need to emphasize for that. And then also needs to pay attention on figure preparation. Okay, different preparation methods will tell different story even though the data are the same, but when you prepare the figure with the different way, names, their story will be very different, especially from your original thoughts and from my thoughts were also very different. And writing needs to be polished, this like I mentioned, but it will be okay. It's still readable. I still can know your meanings. Yeah, okay. So, but for me, for your manuscripts, I suggest that to identify the functional groups that each composition name tries to optimize your operational condition. It is very important. That is also the main key core values, the core values of your papers. Okay. So if possible, explain the possible mechanisms to reduce the literature concentration. This is the first ideas I guess from your titles. So I would like us to know the possible reaction mechanism, because the coagulants we all know is quite clear. Biocoagulants for literature, suppose that should be organic with organic, so that has a lot of possibilities. So functional groups and composition, I mean that's these two functional groups and compositions of your literature is very important. So that is the case. Okay, so time is also quite limited. It's almost 10:30 there, so that I can stop here. If you have any questions, I was more than happy to answer. Okay, thank you. Okay,
guys, students, if you have any question, just drop the question in the chat room, or you can ask directly to Prof. Rui. So please. Is there? Hello? Is there any question?
Yeah, I saw one.
In the chat room, okay.
Yeah, the ways mentioned is it any difference between conference paper and manuscript for international journal? Definitely, that they have a big difference, because the conference papers that should be they only accept the new ideas. New ideas may not be so complete, but the idea is very interesting. So the writing and the data cannot be so complete, but they still can publish. Okay, so for me, I thought that the second paper is the conference paper, because the format is similar like the conference paper, but they provide the quite good ideas that use the biocoagulant. So sometimes that they can explain some details during their presentation, but they don't want to write in conference paper. That will be allowed. But for international journal paper, it is not possible just to chat or to discuss with the authors face to face. So you need to write the manuscripts very clearly to explain everything in details for international journal. So that is the difference. Okay, so for international journal needs to write very clearly, and topics should be very new. Okay, for conference, you don't need to write too many, especially for those the key parameters. You can try this to hide and just explain on site. So that is the difference. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Rui. Is there any question? Any other question, please? Okay, I think, yeah, it is very wonderful meeting. I think there are some summary from this lecture. The first one is the story behind the manuscript is strongly affect the impression and how to deliver the introduction as well as the discussion part, and the abstract contains sufficient information, and it will be read firstly by the editor, so it should be a compact message for the abstract.
Yes.
And
yes.
the other thing that should be improved, I sometimes found the draft from the students, it is quite need to be improved, is the figure quality, because the figure
Yes.
quality is important because it will impress the message of the data.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's my summary for today. So thank you very much for very wonderful review, Prof. Rui. So ladies and gentlemen, before we finish this meeting, so I'd like to ask you to on your video so the committee can snap your picture, your picture for our documentation. Please open your video, please.
Okay. And so I would like us to mention that the Professor Owa. Please allow me this to few more days. I can try this to publish your manuscripts in a more detailed way. Is that okay?
Okay, yes. Thank you,
Okay,
Prof.
thank you. Okay,
very good, very good.
You.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, yeah.
So I think, Prof,
Okay, student, please.
I think the student paper Rahmi is a good paper. I think so. Maybe
I also agree.
Maybe
I also agree.
we can collaborate to put your name in the paper.
The that will be fine, but since I promised Chair's Fatima's to help, so I will try to help. Okay, no worry about that. No worry about it. Okay, yeah.
Thank
okay,
you.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome. You are welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's our program, Prof. Our program.
Okay, yeah.
Webinar. So if the some of journal has been reviewed, so we want to put the name of the reviewer inside the journal. So that's our program.
Okay.
So we have the collaboration in the through the journal.
Okay, yeah. So it is completely depends on you. Okay, yeah. So no worry about that. No worry about that. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, admin, can you catch our pictures? So just please give the sign, please.
Okay, so that's I can try this to remove some part. Okay.
Okay, please turn on your video. 1, 2,
Give you a
3.
smile for good pictures,
Okay,
guys.
smile. Once again. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you, Prof. See you next next week. I see. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prof. Random.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. See you. Bye. See you. Bye.
Okay. The next agenda, I heard from Miss Maisari that it should be a surprise for the participants. Mbak Maisari, is there any?
Yes, Prof. Is so the
Yeah.
sorry.
Bahasa is permitted because Prof. Rui has left the room.
The winner untuk pemenang kita yang mendapatkan door prize hari ini adalah atas nama Mbak Dwi.
Oh, nangis.
Atas nama Mbak Dwi Maya Azwir ya, karena sudah bertanya tadi. Thank you for your active participation also. Ya, nanti hadiahnya akan dikirimkan ya, Mbak Dwi.
Oke, selamat Mbak Dwi Maya Azwir untuk door prize-nya. Baik, terima kasih Bapak Ibu dan para mahasiswa sekalian. Telah usai agenda kita untuk hari ini. Insya Allah kita bertemu lagi minggu depan. Tampaknya review yang sangat intensif dari Prof. Rui ini sangat-sangat berharga ya. Kalau saya sendiri, ketika dulu saya sekolah di universitas sebelah itu tidak ada fasilitas seperti ini. Saya yakin ini ya tidak ada fasilitas seperti ini ya. Kalau di sini tuh mewah itu. Mewah itu kalau bahasa sekarang tuh mewah. Ini fasilitas yang mewah. Jadi kalau menurut saya kalau tidak dimanfaatkan sangat sayang sekali. Seperti yang saya tadi dibilang di depan bahwa sebenarnya tidak harus yang sudah masuk lab atau yang sudah punya data. Barangkali yang nulis review untuk tinjauan pustaka itu pun sebenarnya juga menjadi resource untuk kita untuk menulis ya. Seperti itu. Jadi tetap semangat yang sedang masuk lab dan ingin segera mendapatkan review, segera dibuat sehingga minggu depan mungkin bisa disampaikan dan mendapat review dan bisa segera submit. Mungkin demikian dari saya. Ya, ada Pak Anwar tambahan silakan.
Kebetulan ini kan mahasiswa kita ini ada yang sedang mendaftar seminar di UGM nih ya, bulan September ya. Nah, itu sudah ada yang diterima itu jurnalnya, abstraknya. Saya rasa kalau melihat dari profesor tadi masih mau menerima kalau ada yang mau menyerahkan begitu ya. Jadi sebelum papernya diserahkan ke UGM, ada baiknya dibahas di sini untuk ada waktu dibahas ya. Itu
ya, bagus. Ya, itu ya informasinya ya. Silahkan yang sudah punya draft segera saja difinalisasi gitu dengan ilmu-ilmu yang sudah disampaikan minggu kemarin dan juga minggu ini ya. Baik, mungkin itu dari saya. Ada tambahan lagi Mbak Maisari?
Ampun Bu Is, terima kasih banyak Bu Is.
Mbak Ika ada tambahan?
Ini tambahan saja bagi mahasiswa yang belum mengumpulkan paper, masih ada kesempatan untuk direview oleh Profesor Wiandong. Nah, kita tunggu sampai bulan Agustus nggih Mas Hakim nggih. Sampai bulan Agustus masih kita terima, nanti ada kloter kedua untuk direview oleh Profesor Wiandong. Gitu. Jadi yang belum punya data, yang masih nge-lab, silakan diselesaikan. Masih ada waktu sekitar 2 bulan. Jadi ini sangat kesempatan yang baik sekali, apalagi paper kalian bisa dirombak sedemikian rupa sampai bagus sekali ini tadi ya. Jadi kesempatan emas tidak datang 2 kali, ya. Jadi silahkan yang punya paper, punya kesempatan dimanfaatkan sebaik mungkin. Itu saja pengumuman dari saya, Bu Mai tambahannya. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Baik, terima kasih. Dengan demikian kita akhiri ya. Mudah-mudahan bawa manfaat dan salam sehat untuk kita semuanya. Salam semangat. Sekian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih Bu Is.
Terima kasih Bu Is.
Terima kasih sami-sami.
Terima kasih Bu Is.
Sami-sami.
Pak Habibie, Pak Bu Ika. Ada Pak
Nelip ya.
Ya.
Terima kasih Bu Is. Pamit ya
Bu
semua.
Mai dan Bu Febi ya.
Oke, saya lihat juga
ya,
nih Bapak Ibu.
Assalamualaikum.
Oke, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.